Ethiopia and Germany established diplomatic relations in 1905, which remain excellent to this day. Throughout their century-old relations, both countries have been closely working on various issues of common interest. In 1964, they signed an agreement to cooperate on different sectors. For the last 2 decades, Germany's support to Ethiopia's development endeavors has been tremendous.
በተለይ በትምህርትና ስልጠናው ዘርፍ በተለይም በኢንጂነሪንግ አቅም ግንባታና በቴክኒክና ሙያው ዘርፍ
Germany supports us in education system and vocational training. It has contributed a lot to our engineering capacity building program. Apart from that, it helps us in improving agricultural productivity, biodiversity conservation, and mitigating climate change impacts.
In a move to build on the long-standing robust relation, Ethiopian Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn has paid a state visit to Germany. The visit aims at strengthening the existing relations and opening up new sectors of cooperation. During his stay in Germany, the Premier conferred with President Joachim Gauck to discuss bilateral and regional issues. President Gauck appreciated Ethiopia's achievement in economic progress and its contribution to bring stability in the volatile Horn of Africa region. Prime Minister Hailemariam, for his part, said the fast economic growth in Ethiopia is a result of popular participation driven by democratic governance.
ይሄ ያለ መተማመን አይመጣም። ይሄ ያለ ዲሞክራሲ አይመጣም። ይሄ ሰውን ከማክበር ውጪ አይመጣም።
The source of the economic growth in Ethiopia is the public. In our development process, we consult our people and implement it with their full participation, and that needs practicing democracy. We cannot force our people to participate by force. We cannot think of development without democracy. Therefore, within our development, in our case, development and democracy are inseparable.
Prime Minister Hailemariam also took time to exchange notes with Chancellor Angela Merkel on ways of strengthening existing ties. During a joint press conference held at the Chancellery, both leaders expressed commitment to expanding and deepening existing cooperations. Prime Minister Hailemariam mentioned that the support of the German government to Ethiopia has been very effective in building human capability in terms of education, technical and vocational training. The Premier has asked Germany to maintain its support towards stabilizing the Horn of Africa.
Germany is supporting in pacifying our region, the Horn of Africa, especially in Somalia, through bilateral as well as through the EU mechanisms. And that support has yielded the result. So we see that Somalia is becoming stabilized by now. But there are lots of things we have to do together to bring full normalcy in Somalia in the future.
Although the Ethio-German relationship has been very strong in terms of development cooperation, both leaders are keen to expand the cordial ties to other areas of partnership, especially trade and investment.
I came here today to invite more German companies to come and invest in my country because we have comparative advantage that help German companies feasibly invest in my country. Ethiopia is a very stable country, peaceful and conducive environment is there for German investors to work with us and use the opportunity Ethiopia offers to German companies at this time.
According to Hailemariam, German investors can participate in the energy development, infrastructure, manufacturing industry, transport and agriculture sectors.
Industrialization and agricultural production in my country has to be driven by the private sector. So we want to invite more private sector to come and invest in my country. But the government has main responsibility in making the investment environment to be conducive for the private sector.
Chancellor Angela Merkel said that although Ethiopia is situated in one of the most troubled regions of the world, it is enjoying a fast economic growth backed by reliable peace and security.
Ethiopia has achieved a considerable amount of progress over the past few years, quite incredible growth rates, and also very tangible success as regards education, for example, or increasing possibilities for generating its own energy. We are very closely linked with Ethiopia, particularly through a very close development cooperation, which is of very great importance to Ethiopia.
The Chancellor added that Ethiopia is a priority country for both Germany and the European Union in terms of development cooperation projects. She also expressed her government's commitment to continue supporting Ethiopia's pacifying role in the region.
We very much support the efforts of the Ethiopian government to maintain this stability and to try and seek for solutions, peaceful solutions for neighborhood conflicts. In Somalia, for example, Ethiopia plays a central role. More than 4,000 soldiers have been sent there. We talked about the refugee situation. So many refugees from Eritrea, from Somalia. So that shows the great challenges that your country is facing, Prime Minister. We want to continue this cooperation, also looking ahead towards 2015.
Chancellor Angela Merkel noted that Africa is becoming an ideal development frontier for the world, and it is time for German investors to do business in the continent. For this to happen, she expressed that her government will support investors who want to engage in Africa in general and Ethiopia in particular.
I will very much work for creating the framework conditions where the German business company takes more of an interest in Ethiopia.
Compared to other countries, German investors are not much involved in Africa. This is mainly due to investment security concerns of small and medium-sized industries of Germany.
የጀርመን ኩባንያዎች አብዛኞቹ ትላልቅ ኩባንያዎች አይደሉም።
German companies are not large in size. They are small and medium-sized with limited capacity to invest in other countries far away from home. They fear that they may incur loss in doing so and need guarantee from their government. Chinese companies are investing in Africa not only because they have the interest, but also because their government supports them in finance and insurance. Likewise, German companies need the same level of support from their government.
While conferring with Prime Minister Hailemariam, Chancellor Angela Merkel has promised to encourage and support German investors to do business in Ethiopia through finance and other packages. That is very encouraging.
As part of the Prime Minister's visit, the Ethiopia-Germany Business Forum also took place in Berlin. Prime Minister Hailemariam discussed with German investors on the numerous investment opportunities in Ethiopia and explained why Ethiopia is a preferred destination for investment.
The first one is political stability. The second one is macroeconomic stability. The third one is Ethiopia is maybe, I don't know, you might have come the 14th country globally to have a secure place for investment in global records. So it's safe, there is no crime rate, which is very low, and so investors can safely invest in Ethiopia.
In addition to ample resources and attractive environment for investment, Ethiopia is producing trained labor for the sector in its universities and technical schools. So far, 700,000 skilled professionals have graduated from technical and vocational schools to the standard of medium and large-scale industries. With these realities, says the Prime Minister, German investors have the opportunity to do business in different sectors.
Germany is getting our flowers in 3 paths, through Holland. We are seeking the German investors to come and invest in the floriculture sector and directly bring that flower to Germany. Why you go through Holland? I think that's one of the areas where we can cooperate. You are also bringing beef and other animal products from Argentina and Brazil, which is far away, while Ethiopia is nearby Europe. So I think you can even come and invest in this sector, in agriculture.
Those of you who have been to Addis recently might see how many infrastructure projects are being pursued by the government of Ethiopia very successfully. So there's a lot of opportunity in the infrastructure sector for German industry, I'm sure as well. We do talk about agriculture, we do talk about energy, we do talk about IT and services. And I think for all of these sectors, Ethiopia is a key country to look at for German industry.
Ethiopia is not only promoting its investment potential and calling investors to utilize the opportunity, but also works to create suitable conditions for them. Now, the government is working to establish industrial parks for investors, which enable them to start production without the need to build factories. Improving the service system for investors is another focus of the government.
Recently, we have reformed our system, where there is an investment board which is chaired by myself, and this investment board is meeting every month to discuss on foreign direct investment on the pipeline. If there are any impeding and binding constraints, we decide upon our meeting every month in order to shorten the bureaucracy we have. And so the main central organization you have to approach is our investment commission. So any foreign direct investment will be handled by this investment commission. In the commission, we have one-stop service.
The fact that you see so many senior business leaders in this room today, Mr. Prime Minister, I think is going to be a very clear signal that German industry is about to start moving to your beautiful country. And I think this could be a starting point today in entering a new phase of business cooperation.
International investors who are already working in Ethiopia have shared their practical experience with the Business Forum.
Infrastructure is a very, very, very important issue. We have a perishable product and we need to fly our 100 million cuttings out from Ethiopia with airplanes. One of our strategic partners is Ethiopian Airlines. At the moment, we are sending or transporting most of our crops with Lufthansa, with Ethiopian Airlines, and sometimes due to schedule, also with Turkish Airlines and Emirates. But from my perspective, Bole Airport in Addis has the right infrastructure to bring this kind or this amount of crops to Central Europe, even to the US.
German involvement in Ethiopia is much better compared to other European countries. However, we want more investors from Germany. Therefore, this forum helps us encourage them to invest in Ethiopia. They have also heard about the potentials and opportunities we have from the experience of fellow investors in Ethiopia.
Some of the investors who participated in the Business Forum have shown interest to work in Ethiopia. Among those is an energy company called Lafto Turbine Technology, which plans to generate wind energy in eastern Ethiopia.
This is the place where we are building the wind park. It's called Aisha. And as you can see, you cannot see much. And that is a good thing from a wind park point of view, because there are no people, no plants, no flowers. There is nothing that you can possibly disturb in this place, except for the occasional tree, which, as you can see, stems itself against the wind. Because the wind is blowing very hard in that area and it comes only from one direction. And if you want to design a wind park, from scratch, that's exactly what you want. You want wind coming from one direction in a steady speed and nobody there to disturb you.
Officials of the Aisha Wind Farm project have discussed with Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn on its implementation. Lafto Turbine Technology expects to sign an agreement with the government in the near future to implement the project. The wind farm has the potential to generate 310 megawatts in its first phase and 1,000 megawatts ongoing operational.
The Aisha project has the potential to showcase much more German involvement and German financial investment in Ethiopia, and I think is likely to put Ethiopia on the map of German investors much more than has been the case in the past.
You know, as foreign investors, we value stability, strong government, consistent government. It's very challenging when governments are always changing, policies are changing. It's very hard for investors. In Ethiopia, we have a very stable government, but a government that has very clear long-term growth plans in place that as investors you can build around.
The Ethiopian government is setting very clear priorities of what it is interested in and what it has the capacity to be developing. And I think as foreign investors, you're very advised to have a close look at what is being prioritized by the Ethiopian government. And whatever is under that priorities will then proceed and will be given sufficient attention to be able to go ahead. A country like Ethiopia needs to prioritize. There are so many things that need to be done. Not everything can be done at once. So follow those priorities and then you will have a good business.
German investors who participated in the business forum say they have learned much about Ethiopia and its potentials for investment.
The business forum was for me quite impressive because I learned several lessons, so to say. The first, what already was mentioned, the investment climate. I was not aware that Ethiopia is under the top 14 countries when it comes to secure and safe investments. The second thing which was very interesting for me, which I was not aware, and which is a good basis for being there and invest actually, is the 3-cent kilowatt hour on power. If this I compare to Germany, it's maybe in Germany 8 times that high. So I can imagine that this is a good basis for companies to come and invest. And what was also mentioned, 45 gigawatts of hydro potential, 5 to 7% only utilized so far, is a huge potential for the future, not only for country itself, but also for exporting it to neighboring countries.
I learned that it is a very positive approach from Ethiopia. And one of the sectors that's interesting me is the agriculture sector. I have before presented a program of industrial fruit processing together with the embassy. And I hope we can continue on that because it's Ethiopia have everything what you need. They have fingers that can work, they have sun, there is water, there is fruit, and there is technology. And a project like that with fruit will be exported. That means one of the other major issues, there will be money coming into the country from abroad.
Ethiopia is having very attractive environment for investments, especially on the energy prices and also on the good labor, and also the compared to Germany, cheaper labor is attractive for German investments in Ethiopia.
The highest political level is committed to the investor because without this helpful hand from this political level, the investment won't be successful. So I advise everybody to go to Ethiopia, to check Ethiopia, to see the opportunities, and at least to squeeze as much as possible the political level to feel safe and comfortable.
During his stay in Berlin, Prime Minister Hailemariam also met with Ethiopians living in Germany to discuss a range of issues. The premier briefed the Ethiopians on current developments and elaborated on major achievements in economic, social, and political sectors. Members of the diaspora raised various questions to the Prime Minister.
When we think of investment, one of the main challenges we have is finance. Other countries have diaspora fund to address such problems. Do we have the same package in Ethiopia? What supports do you provide for local investors to help them widen their operation besides saving them from being dominated by international investors?
ኢንቨስትመንትን በተመለከተ በተለይ የፋይናንስ ችግርን በተመለከተ በተቻለ መጠን
If members